Hey YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. This channel is There Has to Be Something More, and I'm your humble host, Scott Moore, reporting to you here from Quetzaltenango, Guatemala, aka Xela. Thought I'd do, this started out being like 5 reasons you might want to retire in Xela and 5 reasons you might not. The numbers changed a little bit as I was jotting things down. It's a little difficult to come up with the reasons why this isn't a great place, at least for us. And so anyway, I thought I'd run through a couple of these things. Something that was very, very important to us. Well, like I guess when we wrote down a list of things we wanted in a retirement country and city, it was climate and safety were two of the big things. And I know healthcare is probably right up in there. And I'll cover a little bit of that as well also. But climate and safety, affordability, cost of living, things like that were some of the two that were really important to us. Now, I lived 40 years in Florida. I had all of the heat and humidity that I could take. Lydia grew up when she was little in Corinto, Nicaragua, which is one of the few places on earth hotter than Florida. And then, of course, we lived in Florida together for many, many years. So we had all of the heat and humidity that we ever wanted. We just did not want to do that again. And we kind of got stuck in some heat and humidity the first year we left because Lydia's mom was still alive at the time, and she wanted to go to Nicaragua first. The original plan was go to Mexico, slowly work our way down through Central America, through South America. But Lydia decided kind of with just a couple months to go after lots of planning that she wanted to go spend time with her family and especially her mom. And her mom made it to her 90th birthday while we were there, so it was a good thing. But so cool temps were really important to us. So number one, climate is spectacular. I mean, at least as far as we're concerned, here in Xela, climate doesn't get any better than this. Throughout the whole year, the highs range from 65 to maybe 75. I don't know if we ever had a 75 day. 73, 74, maybe it gets to 75. I don't remember. But so the highs here are really nice. It's always pretty much like if you're walking around downtown and you tend to get chilly, just walk on the sunny side of the street. If you want a little cooler, walk on the shady side. It's just always perfect for us. If you do like it a little bit warmer, the two big tourist places, Xela is not a tourist place, which we like. There's a small but kind of a close group of expats. But there's not a lot of tourists, and we like that. Now, if you go to Lake Atitlan, which there's a lot of beautiful little towns around the lake, Panajachel, number one, I guess, is the most popular, but there's a lot of great little towns around the lake, or Antigua. Now, both great places. They're about, I would say, 8 to 10 degrees warmer than Xela. So if you tend to like it a little bit warmer, those might be spots for you. Again, you are going to see a lot of tourists there, lots of expats there, but two great places. Lake Atitlan is said to be the most beautiful lake on earth by a lot of people, and it may be a very beautiful spot. But if you like it kind of cool, here at almost 8,000 feet in elevation, it's just always cool. The lows during the year kind of range from 42 to mid 50s. So at night, I mean, you can sleep under a blanket or two, depending on how chilly you get. Nobody here that I've seen has heat or air conditioning. It's just always, the temperatures are always just super nice. It's kind of funny because I'll be walking around in shorts and a t-shirt, and a lot of the Guatemalans will be walking around with like big jackets on. But it does, even though you say, oh, the temperature only gets, into the 40s or 50s, there are days, I guess maybe because it's a little bit humid. I mean, you kind of feel like you're up in the clouds. So it does feel kind of chilly. when you're walking around and it's 60 degrees. Next thing, cost of living. I've done cost of living, entire videos on that. So go back in the channel, check out kind of the details. But somebody with, one person with a Social Security check, the average Social Security check's $1,900, right around there. You can easily, with one person, live here on $1,900. Cost of living is very low. It's pretty similar to what we were spending in Nicaragua. And ours have changed a little bit. I mean, I think here I'd have to go through my notes again. We might pay somewhere around $1,500 a month, $1,600 a month for two of us, 3 dogs. The dogs are a little bit expensive. The only thing here that's expensive as far as food is meat. If you go to the mercados to buy your fruits, vegetables, rice, beans, it is really cheap. We make our dogs food. That's why we have 2 dogs that are 17 years old. They're pretty healthy for 17-year-olds, but we cook for them. So even though I'm vegan and Lydia's pescatarian, grocery bills are super low. The meat is the only thing that I would think is a little bit pricey. And we buy a lot of chicken and stuff for the dogs. But the cost of living is great. Quality of life is, in my opinion, and I'll probably get some heat for this, but Guatemala is we thought it'd be similar to Nicaragua. It's not. Guatemala is a much more prosperous country. You can tell as soon as you cross the border into Guatemala, it's like cleaner, nicer, more upscale. We have 3 modern malls here. We've got a Walmart here. You pretty much can get almost anything you want. If you can't get it here, you almost certainly could get it in Guatemala City, which is about a 4-hour drive. Again, Xela is the 2nd largest city in the country with about 1 million people here. Healthcare, you have to kind of check and see what your issues might be or your concerns might be. There is public and private. Public is free. Never used either. Really. Have used the dental, which I'll talk to you about here in just a minute. But so if you want to pay for insurance, and I know some of the expats do, the only thing is the insurance that you pay for here is connected to the hospital. The best hospital, we are told, in Xela is a hospital called La Paz, or the Peace. You can buy insurance through them that pays for, it'll cover a lot of things like checkups and blood tests and things like that. What we were looking for was something like catastrophic coverage. We don't mind paying out of pocket for small things. If I've got a broken arm or want a blood test or something like that, I don't mind paying for that out of pocket. What we were looking for is insurance on like cancer or heart surgery or something like that. I haven't seen that here. Now, we're both healthy. We both, Lydia's got a few issues, but I would just say if you have to have it, there is free healthcare here. You're probably going to want to pay for it if you're coming from the U.S. Now, the one thing I would consider is my family and friends, in their minds, the U.S. is the best healthcare in the world. Depends on what list you check on, but the last one that I checked, even though the U.S. was way up there as far as the most expensive, it ranked number 69 in the world. So, argue, don't argue, but I don't think it's the best. Guatemala came in 104, but you can hop on a plane here very inexpensively and pretty quickly and get to places like Costa Rica, Colombia. Colombia has fantastic places. I know a lot of the expats in Nicaragua, that was their plan. If anything happened that was serious, they were heading to Medellin or Bogota. But in that same ranking, Costa Rica came in at 30th. So, they have public and private as well. But so if you need something, you can get it. It's just how much do you want to pay for it here. Safety, we feel extremely safe. We have never ever felt unsafe here in Xela. You can go on numbio.com and get safety stats. You can compare one country to another, or a city in a country to another city in another country. But Xela is a safe place. When there's a homicide here, it is big news. I mean, it's not like in Miami where, you know, homicide is one of many every day. So we feel extremely safe here. Xela is just known as a really safe city. Spanish is another great thing here. One of the big things that Xela is known for is they have a lot of Spanish schools here. And their Spanish is very pretty Spanish. To me, I had a hard time in Nicaragua with the neighbors. I mean, if I could slow them down, I was okay. But here it's just easier to understand. And if you do want to learn, you know, you can go to classes, you can go to private classes. The Spanish is pretty, and lots of Spanish schools here. Conveniences was another thing that's great here in Xela. Now, the conveniences are not like they are in the US where, hey, I can go online and in 3 minutes I can pay all my bills. You know, there's some bills that you have to actually go in and pay once a month. But, you know, a lot of the people that are watching this are retired or thinking about retiring. So, you know, you can take an hour and go in and pay a bill. Again, Walmart, 3 big modern malls. You know, you've got Apple stores here. The only thing that they don't really have is Amazon. Now, I've heard a lot about Mercado Libre, which is kind of similar. I don't know a lot about it, but you can't order stuff and have it delivered. If you're into fast food, they've got all that here. McDonald's, Burger King, Domino's Pizza. So if you want that kind of stuff, you can get it. Now, when you're going through the grocery store, if you find things that are imported, you know, like even a Snickers bar. Let's see. So I checked this out. It was about 12Q. That makes a Snickers bar about $1.50. When I left the U.S., I think a Snickers bar was about, I don't eat Snickers bars, but I think it was about $1. You could get a regular old Snickers bar. So, you know, you're going to pay a little bit more for stuff like that. Now, if you buy the chocolate that's made here, then it's going to be a lot cheaper. But so those are a few things. You know, any of the imported stuff that you want, if you can find it, and there are things that I can't find. Like, I love some of the vegan food in the U.S., Gardein chicken nuggets and things like that. I can't find those here. And then the last thing that I would mention, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but we kind of like the fact that there are not a lot of tourists here. You know, city of 1 million people, we see tourists, but not that often, and we kind of like that. Also, I'll put in a number 8, Residency. Residency is fairly easy. Keep checking because they change it all the time, but I believe you have to show an income of like $1,250 a month. So you're going to have to get, if you want to go through the residency process, you can work with a lawyer or you can try to do it on your own. The lawyer that we had mentioned, he charges about $1,500 per person. So if it's a couple, $3,000. And minimum wage here, just so you know, is right around $500 a month. So, you know, you have to show $1,250. I think it's another $250 if you have a dependent. So for a spouse, you can, I would say if you're not sure, you haven't spent a lot of time here yet, you can stay here for 6 months. You can stay here. You get 90 days as soon as you come into the country. You can get an extension, which usually runs us about $100 per person. and then that gives you another 3 months. At that point, you do have to leave, and you have to go out of the C4. So we're 4 hours from the southern Mexico border. You can run across the border. It depends on what the Mexican immigration tells you. Sometimes they'll let you come right back in. Other times they'll say, no, you need to stay in Mexico for 3 days. But once you do that and you come back in, they're typically going to give you, and I say typically because they can do anything they want, another 3 months, then you can do another extension, and then another border run. Eventually, my guess is the immigration people are going to say, hey, you've kind of gone in and out of here, every 6 months for like the last 2 or 3 years. Probably time to start working on your residency. So you'll have to show things like you're going to have to get your fingerprints done in the Capitol. You're going to have to send those to the U.S. where you're going to have them stamped and signed. You're going to have to send them back here. You're going to have marriage certificates to show. You're going to have a stamped and signed letter, explaining how much you get from Social Security or whatever other pension that you have. So lots and lots of great things about Xela. A few cons that I'll mention, and I won't keep this too long because there's just really not that many. One, family and friends. If you're leaving family and friends, you're probably going to miss them. The great thing is you're not going to Thailand where it's like 24 hours on an airplane to get to see you or for you to come home. I think the flight's 3.5 hours from Guatemala City to Miami. Don't know where you're going, but it's close to the U.S. So, you can get there pretty quick if you want to. We were so separated from family and friends. We have 4 daughters, 10 grandkids, but they were some in Florida, some in North Carolina, some in Virginia, and some in Oklahoma. So we weren't, close anyway. It was a pretty good trek if anybody wanted to come see one of the others. Spanish. If you have 0 Spanish, I would encourage you to learn at least the basics. But if you know just basic Spanish, you can get by here. And people are very, very patient. If you try to speak, now if you just get annoyed and the fact that they don't speak English, their patience will run thin. So this is a Spanish-speaking country. Everybody here speaks Spanish. But if you just learn the basics, and again, there are a lot of great little schools here that you can go to. Culture change. Now, this might be a pro instead of a con, really, but you're going to come to a different culture. This is not an inexpensive version of the U.S. Things here are very different, which I love. The way people dress, the way people talk, the way people greet each other, the food, the music, everything is different. For the most part, people here are very traditional, very conservative. A lot of the women still wear the traditional, I would describe it as like the Mayan clothing. Very beautiful, very colorful. Not everybody, but a lot of people. So you will see that everywhere you go. The food is different. The things that you smell, the things that you see. As you're driving through the city, you'll see like a lot of unstuccoed, unpainted cinder block houses. A lot of people, they just don't care. A lot of times the inside of the house is really fixed up and beautiful, but the outside, people just, a lot of times, they just don't care. It's just cinder block. So things look different, smell different, the food tastes different. I love that. I would be bored to tears at 62 years old living in the U.S. after being there my whole life. So I love the difference in culture, but if you're looking for a lifestyle that's exactly like the United States but cheaper, you'll be disappointed here. If you like an adventure, though, I think you really might like it. Work, depending on what type of visa you're doing, work can be restricted. So check on the different types of visa. Everything's available online. You can look at the Guatemala official government websites to see if you're able to work here. For the most part, if you're like working online or something like that, not a big deal at all. So I would just say very, very few negative things about living here in Xela, Guatemala. Lots and lots of positives. Please like and subscribe. We're really getting close to that 1,000 mark. That would mean so much to us. Take a minute to share, pop it on your Facebook. Anybody that's interested in retiring, with a lower cost of living, a high quality of life, send them our way. We'd love to have them subscribe. But if you're looking for a place, this may be a great place for you. Please take a minute to write down below if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer. I do try to answer every comment that I get. Hope that you're having a wonderful day. And remember, if you need an adventure, there has to be something more.